Hey, I wanted to give you guys a quick summary of Rakim, his book. He has a book he wrote called Sweat the Technique. Rakim, of course, is the iconic MC from Eric B. and Rakim, the famous rap group. So he has a book called Sweat the Technique. Chapter 2 is titled Inspiration. The first part of the chapter is called Mahogany. Mahogany is a famous song he wrote. He begins that by talking about what his process used to be for writing songs. His process used to be he would lay the beat out almost completely, and then once the beat is done, he would start writing lyrics over the top of that. He says in that section that he believes it's better to memorize your words than write them down and try to like rap them in the studio. He says this allows you to own the words. You can perform them better. He draws inspiration from everything around him. He sees now people driving by, two people standing there talking, a bridge, a building, a bird flying by, whatever, music from the past. Everything's inspiration, he says. The song Mahogany was inspired by Diana Ross, her movie called Mahogany. It was a song for the ladies. It sampled Al Green's I'm Glad You're Mine. He says that James Brown was his biggest influence. And he ended that section by saying he wanted to develop a sound that was so original that like if somebody copied it, they would know like they were copying him. The next section is called Find Inspiration. He says you have to push yourself to be, like we can be good, but he says in order to be great, you have to push yourself. He says studying, when he talks about studying, it involves exploration and listening to music. That's like research in music, he says. He says he finally came to the realization, which I said before, that music, that everything can be used as inspiration. He says that he mentions James Brown in that section. He says that he believes that James Brown was the world's greatest entertainer. He set the standard for other entertainers, even like for Michael Jackson, who took it to another level. He listed some of his inspirations in the book. MLK, Malcolm X, JFK, Walter Payton. He mentioned how much he loved football before he became a rapper. He had aspirations of playing college football, actually. So Walter Payton was one of his big heroes. Elijah Muhammad, Louis Farrakhan, and Hannibal. He says, basically, he says at the end of the chapter, you should get outside of just studying what your genre is. So the next part of the chapter is called Lee and Ali. This is where he talks about Bruce Lee, how he was inspired by Bruce Lee, in the move, both in the neighborhood and like himself in the black neighborhoods and himself were inspired by Bruce Lee. It spurred it spurred everybody to learning like martial arts and things like that. He talks about Muhammad Ali, how he was a great fighter, but he also how he stood up for things he believed in. The next part is called Coming Up. This is where he talked about he liked to fight, he knew how to defend himself, he liked to box, he was always sparring people, that type of thing. He also mentioned how he started like carrying a gun. He got his first gun. He says that the gun made him feel like invincible, made him feel like even more brave than he already was. He says one incident that he talks about in the book was where he actually shot himself in the leg using the gun that he had. Next section is called First Loves. He talks about a girlfriend he had named Felicia Everett. He talks about his love for rap. He talks about the song The Message and the song Rapper's Delight. He says that he thought if rap would have took the path of Rapper's Delight, he feels like rap wouldn't be as taken as serious because it was like a party song, a feel-good song. It wasn't really like The Message. He says he feels The Message was actually a story of what was going on in the ghettos and the inner cities of the country and the world. And the last part of the chapter is called School Days. He talks about his love for football, how he used to rap around town, how he used to have several ways of making money by working different jobs. He also talks about how he was in school. Like, he kind of got tired of school. And at one point, his dad told him, like, hey, you can quit if you want to, but if you're going to quit, you're going to go to Job Corps. So he decided to stay in school. So that was chapter 2 of Sweat the Technique. The chapter is entitled Inspiration. It's divided into various sections. And once again, this is by Rakim, the iconic MC from Eric B. and Rakim. If you like the video, please put a like on it. subscribe to the channel, and also leave a message for me. Thanks for listening.